Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Scream Scene. I'm Jody Dean, your host. Make sure you're liking, commenting, subscribing, and all that good stuff, sharing this on social media. Today, I have an actress with me, Kit Green, and she has been casted in Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. And when I first seen the poster for this, Kit, I got really excited. I'm a horror freak, but I'm also just blown away how things from our childhood now are becoming scary and becoming scary and coming forth.
Mhm.
How did you feel when you before being cast? Did you hear about this?
I had heard about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. It was on a serious news program in the UK, and I was like, that's interesting. And they were all a bit sneery about it on the news. They were sort of like, whatever next, on the BBC. And I was thinking, well, you can take that tone, but I think that sounds cool. And then when we heard about the Peter Pan film, I was like, oh, this is really, really great. And I think one thing that's happening. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's my phone. That's brilliant. Let me just turn my computer.
No worries. Hey, mistakes
Yeah.
happen. That's how I got here.
Yeah. Oh, it's because we didn't really prepare. So, I don't know about you, but I think certainly in this country, I think globally, we're all kind of coming to terms with the fact that everything about our childhoods, which we thought was great and safe, it was actually sort of incredibly dark. I mean, like most children's TV, well, I best not say most, but a lot of very significant children's TV presenters in this country have been discovered to be paedophiles. So, do you know what I mean? I don't think you can say that we can't express how dark childhood things are. You know,
Right.
it's always going on. Only it used to be hidden. So let's bring it out into the light.
Very, very well said, and yes, very, very true. I was a big fan of the first Blood and Honey,
Mhm.
and I got to see how cruel critics are. As a filmmaker myself, somebody who makes feature films myself, um, I really enjoyed it. So when I seen people having anything negative to say, I was just like, "Well, dang, man! Like, that's it's scary how people take one thing and how people take another. Like, you got all these fans of it, but then you got all these people that want to, I don't know if it's that they hate it or they realize there is so much power and negativity and drama that they rather go that route to get the views, get the clicks. Because I thought it was a great film. Part two, even better. Super proud of what Scott's done. And now with this one, um you've been cast as Tinkerbell.
Yeah, which is really cool. And I think fans of his work so far will be really surprised by this, and hopefully just see that he's going deeper. And it's very psychological. It's a psychological thriller, really, I would say, rather than a horror. But maybe that's because I have a funny relationship with horror. But I would call it a psychological thriller, and I think it's really intense. I didn't solve that problem. It's I think it's really intense, and I love what he's done with the characterizations, as especially mine. So
Yeah.
yeah, I have to wait and see what I mean by that.
It definitely sounds like he's got some unique plans there. He didn't give a lot away when we talked, but I could feel I could smell the wood burning. Something was cooking. What was the casting like? How did you get approached for that?
Well, I so he was interested in what I had done. I think he'd spoken to my agent, and then then he had some ideas and asked me to tape those. And I got an actor friend of mine who is a woman in her 70s, and she lives close by to me. And I said, can you come and just help me with this? The director sent some notes through of how he wants me to play it. And so we did it, and she went she went really white. And I said, well, we finished, and I said, what's going on? And she said, you just scared me to death. And I was like, oh, that's a good sign. Yeah, she was like, that was really upsetting. And I went, oh, good. I think there's a real innocence to the way that I saw the character, and yeah, a real plaintiveness, if you like. And so I was playing that. So that was the process really. I think Scott really liked that. And then I've been involved in the tiniest ways of changing the script. I mean, only in the tiniest ways, and because I really like what he's done with the character. So that's fun, isn't it? It's fun to play with all of that.
That's great when you get something in front of you that allows you to deliver that kind of performance, and that you can really expand your actor horizons. It gives you, I explained it to some actors last week I was working with. This one role involves somebody acting like they were drunk, and then they were sad, and then they were mad. And I was like, look, you got 4 things on your resume and one day shoot. So the dialogue on this thing, is it pretty heavy? You got a lot there?
And the dialogue's heavy. It's really, I mean, like I say, it's a psychological thriller, so it's really about the claustrophobia of it. And I think that's amazing to play, that it's not just this scene, it's that, not just a particular scene, it's the fact that this scene has been replayed over and over and over again in this character's experience. And so it's that kind of residual being ground down into a situation. And I think that there's something really brilliant about playing that. And for me, I'm on this kind of huge adventure because I've been performing and making work for a long time, but I've always made my own things and performed my own roles and perform my own shows and work collaboratively, employed other people. But it's only in the last kind of 18 months, 2 years, that I've started working in other people's projects. And so this is a very new thing for me, and that's to do with where I am as a trans performer. And that, when I started out, it was impossible to play those parts. It just didn't exist, or certainly not in a way that I would want to engage with in any way. And so of course I made my own work, and that's been great. And I've had a great career as an artist, but it's just fantastic that recently the vision is widening out, and people are doing more creative casting and more interesting castings, and therefore more interesting roles are happening. So I'm delighted for myself. It's really good for me as a performer. It's really good for me energetically to work on other people's projects. So yeah, it's exciting.
That is very exciting and very well said. And I was going to ask, when did you get this acting bug? Like, obviously you said you've done your own stuff. Was there a point in life, or how old were you could say, that you said, man, I'd really like to do that? When did that happen?
I started working in television. I was always really interested in music, so that's kind of saved me as a teenager. So I was a music obsessive, and when I left university, I fell into this amazing job in British TV on doing pop programs. So I was there behind the scenes for Nirvana's first UK appearance, literally.
Wow.
Them backstage, like Hole and L7, and all these like big bands. And it was like the perfect job for me. And I did that for sort of 5 or 6 years. And then something suddenly dawned on me. There was like, oh, okay, none of these people really know what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I could do that. And so it took me to my mid-20s to have the confidence to sort of like go, I want to be a performer. I'm going to be a performer. And all of my work has always been about music. So it's always, connected to singing and writing, and often using music as a way of bringing audiences together, or so I've played different singers. I played a country singer I invented this character who was a country music singer. Her biggest album is called No Dicks as Hard as My Life, many classics like that. And so yeah, it's always been about music for me. So I suppose that was the point in my mid-20s when I was like, I may as well have a go at this. And here I am all these years later, still doing it, and still making music, and still writing theater. So it's a great combination.
That is awesome. Is there something you prefer more, screen acting or stage acting?
I like doing screen things. Again, it's relatively new because I've done it over the years, but but the number of things I've said no to has been 500% more than the things I've said, because, you know, it was literally sort of like, do you want to play a deranged, I won't even use the word, but, you know, like, you know, deranged drag queen in this drama? I'm like, no, I'm fine, thanks. So yeah, I've done bits of screen, but it's mainly been theatre, because people will always take more risks. And I'm loving that, like, in the last couple of months, I was in a reworking of a ballet connected to the Royal Ballet, in which I play the sort of wise elder in Giselle. I'm doing Tinkerbell. I'm playing Mrs. Dalloway, Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway. You know, I'm doing all these classics, and I just love that this is coming about at this stage in my career. So yeah, it's fun, isn't it, to keep exploring?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, as a trans performer, do you feel like things are finally getting to where they should have been all along, where people are like just being more acceptive as they everybody see people as people? If they treat you good, they treat you good. It doesn't matter what you do, who you love, who you believe in. Like, hey, this is art. Look at the art. Don't stop, you know, doing this little thing right here. Do you feel like it's finally gotten to that point where that's opening more doors for so many?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we can look at it, definitely look at it from that perspective, or even be less idealistic about it and say, you know, where are really amazing stories coming from? Well, they're from people that have been marginalized for historically. And so you don't even need to do it through altruism. You can do it for pure, you know, clear,
Right.
you know. So where is the interesting stories? Well, things always happen. Things are always most interesting towards the edges, aren't they? And so it's people that haven't traditionally been represented. It's people of color. It's, you know, it's people that have been, you know, struggling just about making a living. It's trans people who have found ways to be strong and survive. You know, so it's like, you don't even need to be sort of like, you know, altruistic about it. You can just literally go, come on, you know, these people are where life is being lived at its most extreme. So, you know, absolutely, it would be foolish creatively to ignore this huge panoply of people, which is most of us, you know, really.
Yeah, there's so much talent out there, and that's always what I look for. I just look for the talent. I will say that I feel like the world's in a much better place in some aspects now than it was whenever I was a kid, and many different belief systems. You know, like I feel like we've made a lot of progress. There's obviously so much more way to go, but I think when it comes to the entertainment business, I'm seeing the most progress, which I think is great. And from music to movies, which, by the way, is a music buff. What's your favorite kind of music?
Well, I mean, I'm 95% Beyonce and have been for a really long time, and I won't have anything against it. And so, any word against Beyonce. I loved country for a really long time, performed country for a long time. So obviously the whole Kaibo Carter era is like quite explosive for me. I love dance music. So I released an album last year, which was, you know, I'd always wanted to release an album in my own name, not any of my characters. And to release like a pure feel-good pop album, it just felt really, really great. So, you know, somewhere in the middle of all of that is where I am.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it felt really, really great. Amazing producer and just a brilliant team. So yeah, it felt like I'd waited long enough, and I was delighted how it all came together. I think, just to your last point, I think it's because we don't live in this monoculture world anymore. Like, you know, when Michael Jackson was releasing music and Madonna was releasing music, everybody knew all their songs. And now, you know, everything's just fragmenting and fracturing, and there's so many ways to experience music and so many ways to experience film and TV, and, you know, all the different kinds of things that we consume. And so there's less big monocultural things, but it means that all of us can have more of a voice and we can find the things that we want. And I think that's incredibly exciting. It's very destabilizing for some people. They're like, Taylor Swift, I can't even sing one of her songs. And you're like, Well, yeah, that's the world we live in now. It's not like it was 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
It's all fragmenting, which means that we can find what we want and we can see ourselves represented way more than we ever could. And I
Yeah.
think that's really thrilling.
Yeah, I love that, and I hope it continues to evolve in more positive on a more positive track, which
Mm.
it seems like it's there, and more people are coming to that light. A long ways to go, man. But I will say this, where film is at right now, I am so proud of it as somebody that's been wanting to do this my entire life.
Mm.
And seeing the amount of love that's coming to the horror generation. It's always been there, but now it's, oh, I can't just watch these movies. I have to buy the toys. I have to buy the posters. I have to be a super fan. I got to get the tattoo on me. This is I mean, that could be you, that, you know, this time next year somebody's putting Kit Green Tinkerbell tattoo on them. These films, they get, I used to hear that expression cult following, and I was like, you know, I love these films to death, but I mean, I ain't gonna get them tattooed on me. Now I'm to the point where I would get Sid Haig tattooed on me. I would probably get Terrifier. Like, I appreciate these things so much. Have you been a big fan of horror? Is there?
No, I will totally come clean. I don't like being scared. And yeah, I know. What am I doing here? I'm some terrible interloper. I find being tense
Yeah.
in the movie theater really, 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 I just don't like it. But that was such a good reason for me to say yes to this.
Right.
Because I mean, I have made kind of horror derivative shows. I make a lot of immersive shows, and I did a really spooky show a few years ago.
Mhm.
And I was directing it, and all the actors were laughing at me the whole time because they could always freak me out, and I would be like, stop jumping out at me, I don't like it. No, so yeah, it's really interesting to go into this world.
That is crazy.
And I love that because, but as I said, that's why I was really proud when I, even in that very early thing, just filming that piece for Scott, freaking out my friend, I was a bit like, why? What did I do? What was so scary? And she was like, I don't know, but you tapped into something. So for me, it's quite technical. Like, how do you do it as a performer? What are the little tiny things that you bring that make people go, whoa? And
Yeah.
I love that sort of, I love a challenge like that. So that's really cool.
I hope to God that he ends up putting that on a behind the scenes part or something, just a clip of that. It would be interesting to see. I love when people get lost like that in a character and you have to say, whoa, okay, you know, that wasn't real. Where are you guys at with filming right now? Have you started? Are you getting ready to start? Are you in like?
They're just about to start, and then I don't do the first chunk, and then I'm in for the second, for the second and third part. So yeah, I've got a whole run, and I'm really glad about that because I sort of basically go in and trying not to sort of come back to real life. So yeah, it's intriguing. I've done aging makeup before with because one of my characters is a very old lady who does hip hop. Obviously, been doing that character for a long time, artificial hip hop, and so I've done filming as that character a lot and worn a lot of aging makeup, but I've never used prosthetics.
Wow.
So I can't obviously tell you what I might be wearing, but that has been exciting to sort of play with and go for fittings and see what the plans are.
That is exciting. I'm feeling like, even though it's psychological thriller, I know he's gonna bring some horror to it. I know there's gonna be some blood and there's gonna be some gore.
Oh my God, there will totally be blood. And don't get me wrong, I think it's mainly my character that not just mine, but that's where a lot of the drama comes with my character. There's quite a few different sort of big themes going on throughout the whole script. So.
What would you like to see in the future? Or not what would you like to see? What would you like to do? Something that you haven't done yet. What would be like a dream role for you to land beyond, like, let's say, you know, this or anything you've done?
Well, because I've been embracing the classics this year, this is you know, been really thrilling for me. I think I would love to do a sort of a really mainstream sort of psychological thriller. I know I've used that phrase earlier, but something that's really mainstream, because it's, I mean, it's popular across, you know, all cultures, but in this country, so many dramas like that, but it's never somebody like me doing the investigating. I want to do something like that, where the kind of transness just gets forgotten, and it's like, that person's cool, they go and solve shit and do
That's
really
awesome.
yeah. So I'd love to do something like that, as well as play Cleopatra on stage in the National, which will happen.
Oh, awesome.
That will.
Well, what about besides you know, Peter Pan, Neverland, Nightmare, anything else that people should look out for right now? Anything else in the pipeline you can talk about? Can't talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing a lot of stage stuff, which is really great. I've just been, again, a new experience. I'm in a game which just came out. I mean, the second Dragon's Dogma game, and you know, you were talking about fans.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was out, and suddenly, like, I got so many messages on Instagram with people going, "Are you the voice of Stingy in Dragon's Dogma?" And I'm like, yeah, that's, how did you track me down? And that's so flattering, and people
That
like
is awesome.
really relating to the facial, because it's just motion capture, so it's like really relating to that, and I really warmed to you, and you were so lovely, and I'm like, it's my voice. So that was a big, so people should check that out. I'm not a gamer either, so, but I love embracing these new worlds. Yeah, so that's fun.
That is so awesome. Well, Kit, listen, I hope we can circle back around when this movie comes out. I'd like to talk to you, because I'm sure there's going to be a whole different response. So maybe come back for another interview. But stay on with me just for a second here. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Scream Scene. Guys, make sure you check out Kit Green. Going to be playing in Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, but also has done a lot of other things, a lot of things to come. You can follow her on Instagram, and there's so many other social media platforms, but definitely go down the rabbit hole. You can even go to IMDb. So guys, thank you for watching. Smash that thumbs up, comment below, share this on social media. We post every week here on the Scream Scene, but until next time, sweet nightmares.